Welcome to Reading English Aloud. This is Reading English Aloud practice. Twins. New vocabulary words. Nouns. Number 1, data. Data. Number 2, weight-bearing exercise. Weight-bearing exercise. Number 3, gut. Gut. Number 4, cognitive abilities. Cognitive abilities. Number 5, variable. Variable. Number 1, data. Facts collected for reference or analysis. Number 2, weight-bearing exercise. Exercise that forces you to work against gravity. Number 3, gut. The stomach or belly. Number 4, cognitive abilities. Thinking skills. Number 5, variable. An element, feature, or factor that is likely to vary or change. New vocabulary words. Verbs. Number 1, contribute. Contribute. Number 2, gather. Gather. Number 3, experience. Experience. Number 4, recover. Recover. Number 5, explode. Explode. Number 1, contribute. Give something in order to help achieve or provide something. Number 2, gather. Come together, assemble, collect. Number 3, experience. Encounter or undergo an event or occurrence. Number 4, recover. Return to a normal state of health, mind, or strength. Number 5, explode. Break violently and noisily as a result of rapid combustion, excessive internal pressure, or other process. New vocabulary words. Adjectives, adverbs. Number 1, retired. Retired. Number 2, puffy. Puffy. Number 3, sharply. Sharply. Number 4, subsequent. Subsequent. Number 5, reversed. Reversed. Number 1, retired. Having left one's job and stopped working. Number 2, puffy. Unusually swollen, especially a part of the body. Number 3, sharply. With a sudden and marked change, dramatically. Number 4, subsequent. Coming after something in time, following. Number 5, reversed. Turned the other way round, or up or inside out. Twins. Scott Kelly not only contributed to science by spending 340 days circling the Earth aboard the International Space Station, ISS, he also gathered important data about himself. Scott Kelly and his twin brother Mark are now both retired astronauts. Scientists from the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA, used the twin brothers to study what happens to the human body in space. While Scott was living on the ISS from 2015 to 2016 and monitoring his body, his brother was back on Earth being monitored by scientists. The results were recently published in Science, one of the world's top academic science journals. According to the results, Scott experienced a number of changes in space that Mark did not experience back on Earth. His face was puffy, his bones thinned due to lack of weight-bearing exercises, and his muscles weakened. He was also exposed to higher levels of radiation, increasing his risk for cancer. Even some forms of gut bacteria increased, while other forms decreased, and his cognitive abilities sharply declined. Fortunately, most of these changes were reversed, and his health recovered after he returned to Earth. It is difficult for the NASA scientists to explain why the changes in Scott happened. There are just too many variables involved in a space mission, such as changes in gravity, increased exposure to radiation, lack of air circulation, change in sleep habits, a diet of freeze-dried food, or the stress of living in very close quarters with the same people for almost a year. The study involved Scott collecting his own bodily fluids and sending them back to Earth. In order to collect blood, pee, and poop samples, he needed tubes and other necessary equipment that could only be brought to the ISS by rocket. Unfortunately, one rocket exploded, destroying all of these supplies. However, subsequent rockets did make it to the ISS. Another issue was that the blood and other samples needed to be as fresh as possible for analysis back on Earth. With careful coordinating, the samples were sent back down to Earth on a spacecraft and sent to the scientists in Houston, Texas, within 48 hours. Overall, studying twins Mark and Scott Kelly will provide a lot of data for NASA to use to make sure astronauts stay safe while exploring space. This study will better prepare astronauts for future long-term missions. That's the end of the article, and these are the sources that I used. So, discussion questions. Number 1, would you like to travel into space? Why or why not? Number 2, is space tourism a good idea or a bad one? Number 3, what characteristics make a good astronaut? Number 4, if you could interview astronauts returning from space, what would you ask them? Number 5, If you had to stay for 1 year at the International Space Station, what would you bring with you? And just for fun, let's look at idioms about space and idioms that have the word space in them. Breathing space means time to rest. I just needed a little bit of breathing space before I started my new job. A waste of space. How to describe someone when you have a low opinion of them. He's just standing there while the rest of us are working hard. He's such a waste of space. Stare off into space. To stare at nothing while thinking about something else. The teacher always catches her staring off into space during the lessons. Everything under the sun. Everything that a person could imagine. We have tried everything under the sun to get him to play the piano, but nothing has worked. Many moons ago, a long time ago. Remember how we used to go fishing after school? That was so many moons ago. Once in a blue moon. Very rare. When I was studying in Canada, I could only visit my family in China once in a blue moon. That's the end of this lesson. The article is called Twins. Thank you for reading English Aloud with me.
That was easy.